Hi, this is Ian Pettigrew, and we're running a really exciting conference as part of CIPD Manchester. It's called Social HR Manchester, and it's an event that we're running on the 16th of October, and it's a combination of conference and unconference. And to give people a bit more of an idea of what to expect, we're interviewing all of the speakers and facilitators. Here today with Rachel Burnham, and I'm going to start by asking Rachel to introduce herself.
Hello, it's lovely to be here with you, Ian. I'm a learning and development consultant. I work for myself. I've got my own consultancy, and I've been doing that for about 14 years. The particular focus of my work is around helping learning and development professionals to be even more effective. And as part of that, I tutor for MOL on the Certificate in Learning and Development Practice. And that's a great program to work on. It's lots of fun, and it keeps me fresh because I'm always learning more from working with the students that I'm working with.
Okay, thanks, Rachel. So, along with Mike Collins and Flora Marriott, you're going to be speaking and facilitating the stream that we've got about L&D. How do you see social and all the things that are going alongside it with the rise of media, new ways of working in digital? How do you see those things changing L&D?
I think that first off, the use of social media and social learning is bringing into any situation where we're doing some design for learning and development. It's giving us a whole range of new options to tap into. So I think that's the first thing. It just opens the doors to a whole range of things that we can use to enable people to learn at a distance from one another, but still learning from each other. And it also means that we can make much more use of things like visual mediums. So through things like Pinterest and Instagram and YouTube, it gives us all those options. But we've always learned socially. People learn from talking to each other and from working together, and what social media does, it gives us the option to do that at a distance. So that might be with people in the same organisation as yourself, but who are just working at a different location. It might mean being able to learn together with people from the same occupational field but outside of your organisation. It gives you opportunities to learn with people from perhaps other organisations that your organisation works with. So it sort of blurs and gets over some of the organisational boundaries, and it gives you opportunities for international learning. But I think the other thing is, it enables us to learn much more easily at the point at which we need to do the learning. So we can break learning down into much smaller pieces, and then people can draw upon that as and when they need. And then I think the third thing is that social media gives us tools to enable learners to generate their own content, so that it might be using YouTube, for example, and somebody recording a video showing a skill that they have. So it could be how to bake a cake, it could be how to use a particular piece of software, it might be how to repair a machine, or it could be perhaps something where a person is much more reflecting upon how they are doing something in their working life, and maybe they write a blog about it. So tips about how they've learned to manage their time more effectively. So there are a lot more options for us to learn from each other through learners generating their own content. And of course that's giving us fresh challenges in learning and development, because we need to work in a different sort of way to support learners in learning in that way and in creating material.
Thanks, Rachel. I've been really impressed with the way that you use social media. You seem to be one of those people that you don't seem to have been using it for that long, but I've been really impressed with your presence on social media and what you do. So can you just tell us how social media changing things for you personally?
Oh, it's had a huge effect. I've only started really working with social media for about 1.5 years. Before that, I used LinkedIn, but in a rather sort of feeble sort of way. I use LinkedIn just to have a CV on it, effectively, because that's what you did. And then I started writing a blog, and I've also started using Twitter, Facebook, and Google+. Now, out of those, the one I really love is Twitter, and that gives me opportunities to be in touch with a much wider range of people, and that's really helpful when you work independently. It just enables you to make contact with so many more people and learn from them. But even when I worked in an organisation, I was the sole learning and development practitioner, so I can imagine it will really make a big difference to people who work on their own or in small teams, because you can just start learning from other people and even working together on projects through the networks that you build up. So, for example, the last blog that I wrote actually came about because I read a tweet from somebody that intrigued me, and I responded, and then we got into a discussion through Twitter, and then we started both reading this academic paper. Then we decided to meet up in person, and from that we each wrote blogs about the same issues around informal learning. So it can lead to learning, but it can also lead to people working together in different sorts of ways, and that in itself can lead to more learning.
Excellent. So what sort of people do you hope to see coming along to the conference on the 16th of October?
It would be lovely for people who've not really made much use of social media in their working lives, in learning and development, to come along and find out about it, see what's possible, particularly if you've got doubts or questions about how could it be used in your own organisation, how could you use some of these tools which we're perhaps familiar with in a sort of our own personal lives, but how could you use them in a professional context? But it would also be great to have people who would come along who've got experience, who've had a go at using some of the tools that are around, and would be willing to share that with other people.
And finally, what sort of impact do you want to make on the day? You know, when we review it a few weeks after the conference, what sort of feedback would you love to be getting from people? What sort of aha moment, do you want people to be having? What is it? Difference that gives you the biggest buzz?
I think it would be great if people felt inspired. It would be great if people felt more confident to have a go and experiment. I mean, that's what's worked for me, is actually just diving in and having a go and trying different things out. And I think getting over being frightened by the technology. I've said to you before, I'm not very good with technology, and you said, no, actually, you can do that. And I think we've got to get over the fact that this is about technology. It's actually about people learning and people getting in touch with each other. And so I think if people realise that and see that and are willing to then have a go themselves, then I think we'll have achieved what we want to with the conference.
Oh, that's great. So, and as you say about using technology, we're using technology in a slightly different way here, because to give people an idea of what to expect from the conference, we're just featuring videos and Google Hangouts, quick interviews with all of the speakers and facilitators. So if people want to find out more, there'll be a link underneath the video for details of how to book. Thursday, the 16th of October, Social HR Manchester. We're not out as it's a live hangout, but just to say, Rachel Burnham, thank you very much indeed.